Three, two, one. Hi, guys. So, welcome in. Welcome to the world's famous billions watched. Yes, we are here live again on not TikTok. We always do that. So used to that, but we are live on YouTube. Now, I think the last podcast I was mentioning that I was gonna go here and there. So there meaning, this all originated from TikTok. That was the plan. But just thinking about quality. And this is the main thing I learned is just for me and myself, I worry about my quality a lot. So when we rehash these out to Spotify, by the way, let me say my intro right. So welcome to the world's famous billions watch. We're on multiple platforms. We are here live on YouTube. I welcome the folks who are here listening to me right now. We're also on TikTok where we originated from. So Joe Lobo 555, and you can also find my podcast. All 45 plus are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. There's only a handful here on YouTube because of the fact of copyright free music. So somehow, some way I was able to do 45 plus on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But yeah, we've been doing this since the end of July. So we've gone, I guess, like I mentioned before, we've gone through a lot. We've went to many places and here we are. So talking about quality, when I talk about what's important to me, quality is important. So even here on TikTok, you can see I'm looking at what I can do. And usually when I do these lives, I go live on, before this, I was going live on TikTok. TikTok's output currently, what they enable you to do on their native app, which is TikTok Live Studio. I think I talked to you guys before when I was doing this on the last podcast or the previous podcast, where just they limit you so much. And sometimes you can do what I'm doing where I'm doing 16:9, but they will limit you to 9:16 because it's mostly the people who are watching are on your phone. Also, too, as in resolution, it's only 1080/60. Now you can get away with stuff where, for example, for me, I would use OBS, which I'm using right now. So how I'm going on YouTube right now is basically using OBS. So everything's all set up in OBS as the quality. I can get to the point where I'm not overkilling my system, where I'm running at 1440p, so I can get the perks from YouTube to get the quality better, sound better, etc. When I was thinking about this back in a couple of days ago, I was thinking about where should I go live? Eventually, yes, I do need to go live on TikTok. That's my home base. I have a lot of people there. If you didn't know, I have a following. I think I have a following of 3,500 or whatnot. I want to make sure I cater to them as well. But yet again, given how we are on YouTube, quality is important for me. Even looking at what I'm pumping out, I'm pumping out a bit rate of almost 12,000. The most I can ever do in TikTok is 7,000. Even though it's weird, right? This is the most weirdest shit ever. Is yes, mind you, I am in the Philippines. So if you didn't know, I am based in the Philippines. I am an expat. I live in the United States for almost 40 plus years, but it wasn't until 2024 where we made a decision to move here into the Philippines. I live in Bohol and in the Visayas. Goodness gracious, yes, been here for 2 years. We started in the province where our internet sucked. We're near the city. We're in the island of Panglao. We're basically kind of in the tourist area, and the internet's pretty fast. We live in a subdivision, so it's about 900 up, 900 down. Hilarious shit ever is when I do this on TikTok, when I run their tests, TikTok tells me, no, you cannot run it this fast. You're going to cause jitters. So you should run these at 720/60. And I'm like, excuse me? And it doesn't make any fucking sense at all. For a person who cares about quality so much, it's why would you want to degrade your quality? So how I fix that is basically use OBS. I would use OBS to mask everything I'm doing on this live. For example, even my image, I use my camera. What I use on TikTok is basically this. What I do is a Windows capture of my picture and my scene in OBS, what you're seeing right now. And basically from there, it looks pretty good. To make it work on 1440p, which is recommended. But it's a thing though, just even if I use the native camera source in TikTok, it looks super glossy and I'm using the same quality. So I don't know. We've talked so much about the differences between OBS and TikTok Live Studio. Yes, TikTok Live Studio it does what it does, but it's still super buggy. I just realized this week where, one of the common things that I was running into issues is basically, I was If you guys didn't know, and I don't know if I'm going to introduce it here on YouTube, but basically I do play video games. I may not be the best at it, but I do play a first-person shooter, Call of Duty. I'm thinking about doing something else, but besides the point of just I do video capture it, and I try to video capture to the most I can do. I think is because I'm using a Elgato HD60X. So for the most I can do, I think is I can try to push 1440p. It's the best, but this is going from the previous view for OBS. So originally from that, I was taking the preview from my video capture card that's in OBS, and then basically piping that to TikTok Live Studio using the Windows capture, and then it went well. Now moving to like what happened last week, where basically TikTok Live Studio's window capture was going super buggy, like everything was jittery. It's weird. And then so I had to find a solution over in TikTok Live Studio. I was like, okay, how can I use my video capture card? I think it's a bug because my video capture card, how they displayed it, is a video cap. It should be a video capture card. Even on OBS, it's labeled as a video capture card. TikTok Live Studio captures it as a camera. So I don't know, that was the first for me, but like after I did that, oh my goodness, like I got the quality I wanted. But it's just like it's just like the stuff where like it's super buggy. It's in the beginning phases for Mac. By the way, maybe the Windows version is very stable and it's really good, but I'm running off the Mac version because all my stuff I use an iMac to make this all work on going live here on YouTube or where I go on TikTok or wherever I'm at. I use a Mac. Like it's been lately been a lot of buggy issues, and then like I try to find solutions and like, okay, all right, I'm able to find a video capture, but it's classified as a camera. Give or take and stuff, like the initial intention of all this, as I mentioned to all you all before, and even the folks who are brand new listening to me on my podcast, like I always care about my quality, number one, because how are you going to, and this is very important, like how are you going to bring people to understand you, take you seriously in the sense if you don't worry about your quality? Yes, in the beginning of all stuff, if you can't afford this, and this is calling out to the folks, individuals who are dreamers, and they telling me, yo, I only have a phone. How can I do the stuff you're doing? Yeah, you go on your phone, start it. But there's going to be a point in your life when you're going to be able to afford the resources to make it, or somehow, some way they just appear to you. And it may not be the most like up-to-date stuff, but it makes it work. And then you go off of it. I'm always a firm believer, as I talk about myself, I'm a person, an individual who believes in the law of attraction. If you see the stuff in the behind me, I'm heavily in manifestation, heavy in angel numbers, and heavy in law of attraction. Even if sometimes it feels like, and people who practice it, even me as a human, sometimes there's stagnant air and you're just like, what the heck is going on? But at the end of the day, thank goodness for the law of attraction. You can have some bad days. It's okay. But at the end of the day, once you believe in what you want to do and what you want to become, please believe the things, the places, the events, the circumstances, the friends come towards you. Or I always tell folks and individuals, like, yeah, even like the concept, like of some terms I learned in the Philippines, like courting, which is, in my opinion, chasing. I came to a realization, just like if it's meant for you, you don't have to chase. You don't have to do all that shit. Why put so much effort into chasing something when if it's meant to be, it'll come to you? Same as me, like even relationships, I talked to them before. Relationships, I'm not too worried. And like if it's like a significant other, yes, who wouldn't want to be with a significant other to settle down and do all the wonderful stuff together? But like for me, it's just like I won't go force it with anyone. I won't. That's why I always label and say it to everybody, where it's like, we start as friends, 100%. Start as friends so I can get to know you first, and then we'll decide from there. Like, okay, as adults, what do you want to take from this? And that's me. So like I never put myself in the position to chase, because I think also too, it's based on my experience as well. Like sometimes you chase and you feel like you chase so much and it turns out to be too good to be true. You know what I mean? That's why I don't chase. But also too, like it goes back to what I believe in. This is the manifestation, the law of attraction. If it's meant for you, if it's for particularly you don't need chase. Why do you need to chase it? It'll come to you. So anyway, like, going back to quality, I felt if it was gonna be better to go here on YouTube to do this and go live, because I want to take advantage of the quality. As you guys have seen, and some of you may or may not, maybe you're brand new, who knows? But yeah, I always cut these back on Spotify, post these back on Apple Podcasts. Make sure if you haven't already, and maybe you're cool here in Apple Podcast. I mean, not Apple Podcast. Maybe you're cool on YouTube here, and also too, my stuff's on YouTube Music as well. But it's my podcast as I found out. Shouts out to YouTube, Google. But I mean, for the most part, like if I'm always want to make sure I can show the best version of myself. I think everyone should do that. Like if you think in your mind and that you want to be at the best level of yourself, wouldn't you want to worry about your quality eventually when you can? Of course, why not? So when I look at that, and there's ways I can do it, I was thinking about it too, just like, okay, I can go on TikTok live and go do my authentic podcast there. But I think the challenges I have is because of the fact of, as if you ever venture over there, you'll see what I mean. I have a lot of overlays where basically it's relative to TikTok. So like stuff that captures the gifts I get, or what is that? The follower. I have a goal, follower count. I want to get to 4,000. We'll probably get there. Watch me do it, and other stuff as well, right? So all that overlay stuff shows on TikTok. However, what I want to show, what I want to represent, if I do the rehashing, as you know, folks who follow me on YouTube or even on TikTok sees this, like, yeah, I post clips from my live, one to get exposure and one to just focus on key points that one of the key points that I talk about in my life. So when it comes to that, I at least want to get the best version of myself. So I at least want to make sure that, okay, why not try to get the version in which I don't have to show the overlays? So I do have ideas. Maybe we'll try go live next week when we do our next episode for the Authentic Podcast. We'll probably check me on TikTok. My handle is JoeLobo555. I do my Authentic Podcast there. That's why right now I'm gaming right now over there. Even if I'm successful or I'm horrible at it, to each his own. But like, I think there's ideas. I think in OBS I can record. The challenges I have is I worry this sometimes it happens to my iMac. So just to let you know what kind of resources I'm running with, I have a 2020 iMac that has 64 gigs. It's pretty powerful. It can do podcasts like this, or you can do live. Sometimes it runs to situations where like, okay, I have to be smarter in how I run this. Like for example, if I am running TikTok Live Studio and then running OBS in the background, there are some times where like, I guess the resources get crazy, where like it's trying to catch up with the video rendering. It's a Mac thing. So it will bog everything down, and then it'll come to a point where like, okay, there's a choke point. So I dealt with that like a couple of days ago. That happens here and there, but there's lessons learned I have to do. I just have to reset my computer and whatnot. That's the one of the things I could do is basically, when I go on TikTok, because I can use TikTok's version. The problem with TikTok's version, it's only going to give me the, it's only going to give me the 1080p or 720. I think it's a 720/60 that they give you of the output. And why not take advantage of what I have here on YouTube? So while I run TikTok Live Studio, even though I mentioned as well, like for when it comes to OBS Studio, I will be using what you're seeing right now. This is the one of the scenes I'm using right now, but basically the only difference would be is this would just be windows captured from TikTok Live Studio, and then it'll broadcast like this with all my overlays. However, I will at least get the clean version that's from OBS that's recording. I just have to make sure that I'm recording it so that like, okay, I will be perfectly fine when it comes to doing the repost, doing the shorts I do. And at the end of the day, even when I look at shorts, right, you want to make sure that they look clean. And then you can see like, even like when my posts, my shorts, whatever, whether it's on TikTok, on my posts, or you see it on YouTube when you see my shorts, you're seeing less of the overlays. And I think it's like that. You want to make sure that it looks clean. And that's for me. Quality is important. This is how my standards are, because I want to make sure that I'm showing the best version of myself. Like, yes, there can be some issues where like, there's always a learning phase. And yes, there's probably going to be a time where the resources I currently have right now on my iMac is probably not going to be able to survive down the road. We'll get to that. But for now, for my setup and what we're doing right now, it works perfectly well. It's perfect. So anyway, at this point, and mind you, it's always been a situation where like the main goal of this, the beginning from December, was let me use OBS and do dual stream. We'll still do that. Believe me, we'll do. It's just the challenges with TikTok. I think TikTok needs to wake up and realize that not everyone wants to use your TikTok live studio. This is where the give and take happens, where you have to make sure, okay, well, I'm still here on TikTok, got to use it. But ideally what I would want is basically the same thing I'm doing on YouTube, where you get the RTMP link. It gives you access to your profile, and then you can use OBS to go live. This will make everything so much easier at the end of the day, where just like, I don't have to worry about shit. And maybe I don't have to worry about the overload that I'm gonna get potentially from running two apps that are kind of doing the same thing. And this is why when I'm having the issues right now, where it's like basically my Mac's thinking like, oh my goodness, you're running so much video at the same time. It's rendering it so much fast. And just like, okay, gotta catch up, and I can't. And hopefully we can get to that hump. It's funny when I always talk about these in many of my lives. It's just like we're on my podcast, or just like we always talk about quality and where we started and we began. We've came a long way. And I always have to say that because of the fact of we came from a phone and we're here now. We came from not so good quality and playing music from a speaker to a full setup, integrated music with my mic. So within time, people will get to this. You just gotta believe in it. And just like, that's the main important thing of all of this. It's just like, believing where you're going. Sometimes it may seem like, and well, I think this is one of the ideas, one of the things I want to talk about tonight, because it's just like, sometimes like it may feel so cloudy, if you know what I mean. Like not every day is a bright day, but sometimes it can be cloudy as shit. And you're like figuring out, why the fuck is this not working? Why is it this way? And I just have to tell you, like, and we'll talk about it more. You just got to keep on going. Please believe you do. A lot of people will keep, the ones who are successful in their shit are the ones that keep on pressing, not the ones who fucking give up. And sometimes like it sucks because like once those people give up, it's maybe you're at a pinnacle or you're about to break out and you're about to be there, but you just at that point before that finish line, you break out. You just give up. So that's kind of the idea I wanted to talk about for this podcast. So we'll get into that. So my experiences here in the Philippines, guess what? I bought my first scooter. So we bought our scooter, and this is more, it's half and half. Not only am I a podcaster here on the multiple platforms I am, yes, because I'm in the Philippines, come from the United States, we have to make something out of ourselves. So I am also an entrepreneur. Ended up buying with my older brother. We bought a scooter. It's interesting how you buy scooters here. We'll get to that, but basically we bought a 125cc. The idea is, yes, it's for our personal use, yes, but I mean, it's more for basically our investments to our businesses that we're trying to do here. Like I think one of the main things we're trying to do is like get into the hospitality business. So you get what I mean. We're starting to do some Airbnbs, but also too like working with in tandem with Airbnbs is trying to provide other options to individuals. Hey, is to what could be available to them. So one example is, hey, here's a scooter you can use on the island if needed. Here's the amount, whatever it is, tied into your Airbnb stay. So we did end up buying our first scooter. It's a 125cc. It's a Yamaha Neo Gravitas. I think that's what it's called. It's my brother picked it, and then we were going back and forth to figure out, okay, should he get a Honda one or should he get a Yamaha one? On the island in Bohol, or even you can notice it. Most people have the Honda Click. So Honda Click is like the comparable brand in which people buy here. I don't know if it's cheaper or just the most used brand or whatnot. Even like the locals and the expats who are the tourist expats, whoever they are, what have you, use the Honda Clicks. We ended up buying based on the quality and what you get out of the package. We got the Yamaha Mio Gravitas, I think. Hope I'm saying it right. It's sleek. It's what is it? It is a matte green color. My brother just wanted to get that first color. I think in a couple of weeks we're gonna probably get another one just because it makes sense with what we're gonna do. We want to provide another extra service. But yeah, so we went in there, and then basically they had their, like I was telling my brother, just like because some things, like the one thing you have to keep in mind here is while we're becoming entrepreneurs here on this island or this country, sometimes you have to build like a presence, like a, you know, a credit presence. It's not like, for example, in the United States where you build your credit by, you get a credit card, you do that stuff, and then you do your debt management to justify, okay, I have the credit score to do this. No, it's not existent in the Philippines. For my brother's sake, because, like, you know, our previous properties that we bought, they're all under my name. This is the opportunity for my brother to get something under his name. So we got him the scooter. It was straightforward. For the most part, I think we pay mostly cash, but we did also do like, okay, we'll pay, I think, half up front, and then we'll pay half maybe the next installment, like a couple weeks from now. I think it was reasonably priced. But the wild thing is this is the part that was interesting. It's just like, you know, like you don't get the registration immediately, which is weird. I don't know. It's a Philippines thing. I don't know how they get the registration. So I don't know when we're getting the registration. And it's funny too, because when they told us, when we bought it, they're saying, hey, you're not supposed to ride this until you get your registration. And I'm like, excuse me? It's weird, because you know how in United States, if you're in the United States or other countries, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in the United States, when you buy something, you get either a temporary plate or you have some significance that says you bought this, and here's the registration for it. Right now on my scooter, when we bought it at the Yamaha place, they were saying, we will let you know when you get the registration, but you don't have it yet. Try not to ride it in the areas where you could get pulled over. So it's weird. So hopefully, I'm hoping that we actually pay it off. That will trigger the registration piece of it, so that we can have registration for the scooter, and then we'll be able to have no worries, where you can essentially ride it anywhere. Where I'm at currently on the island, but in irrespective of what's happening currently, so like right now in the Bohol, if you didn't know, I think it's the ASEAN conference. So it's basically the Southeast Asia countries. They have like a summit, and the summit is here in Bohol. So there's a lot of presence of like the PNP, the national police. There's heavy presence of government. Like, you know, you can see there's government people around. But for the most part, alluding to what I was saying when they were telling us, like, hey, yeah, you can't ride it until you get your registration. But it's funny because I was thinking about that. It was just like the folks who buy, like, I even see it from other companies, because we bought it directly from the dealer, directly from the brand. So we bought it directly from a Yamaha dealer. I don't know how they do it, but I've seen there's other companies where they just they have something on their license plate that basically says for registration, or it's something in which like the license plate is a temporary license plate, quote unquote, with random numbers, but it's not the official plate. But they're still riding around with it. Hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers that once we pay it off next week, that we actually get the process of getting the registration done. I think they told us previously it's gonna take us a month. If you don't know, like, how they do their motor vehicle stuff is a little bit different. If you're coming from the United States, it's like, you know, for example, it might take a little bit longer than usual to get something. And if you are gonna get a plate, it'll probably come into the dealership and not go to your house. And that's another thing too, right? The mailing system here in the Philippines, we don't have a mailbox. There's not a postal program. If there is, I mean, I think there's stuff. I remember seeing some stuff in the malls. It's like a postal service. I don't know how that works, but I mean, the only thing that actually works is, like, for example, if you use, like, they don't have an Amazon here. They use Lazada and Shopee. But basically, like, you know, or even if you go to third-party sites who offer a website, you can order stuff. That's where you can get packages sent, and they have the service providers, like where it's J&T or it's Flash Express. Those are the main carriers I hear that deliver product here if you order something online. But I mean, for the most part, it takes a little bit longer. So I don't even know for the LTO. That's what's it called. The DAV here is called the LTO. But basically, I think they send it to the dealers. The same thing happened to our car. We bought our car back in 2024 that we bought from the dealer from Ford in Cebu. It took a while, but however, they gave us a temporary plate. Now for the scooter, it's kind of different. We just gave the cash. We do have the paperwork. I think my brother has it somewhere. But basically, they're gonna call us and say, "Hey, your plates are ready." So until then, we can ride it. Let's be honest here, because like I think everyone else does it here. Hey, I'm just saying what it is, right? I'm saying what it is. It's one of the things, like, it's like if someone else is more likely doing it, trust me. But we don't have plates right now. So hopefully, crossing my fingers, maybe in a week or so, or 2 weeks. I think we have 2 more weeks to go. We get the plates. So I'm planning to get another one because like, basically to help us with our investments. It would be great if like one fully registered and one is in progress, because at least the fully registered one, you can just ride it around the island, have no worries. Because I don't even know how much it's gonna cost. Like they're telling us like, yeah, if you get pulled over, you're gonna get fined. And I'm just like, I don't know how much the fines are. I mean, and I always have to go in dollar, right? If it's 1,000 pesos, it's probably gonna be like $10. Yes, it's not a lot in my mind. It could be a shit ton for people living in the Philippines. Don't get me wrong. Now, I don't know what the effects would be, where, for example, like how it affects your license. I try to be as aggressive defensive I am. I try to avoid the situations where I will get pulled over. Yes, they do have checkpoints here where they ask and see where you're going, so that they check your ID, check your registration, make sure the car is to you, etc. But I think for the most part, it's here in Bohol. Let's say it's the observation of traffic is, yes, there are people who manage your traffic. Yes, it's called traffic enforcers, but it's not too strict compared to if you go to, for example, Cebu, or if you go to Manila. It's a little bit more lax, because there's a land transportation office here in Bohol. It's in Tagbilaran, but the actual people that work for LTU who manage the highways and whatnot, or the streets or roads, the people to making sure that people are driving civil, that's not that presence here. It's a little bit more lenient what you can do, and I'll be honest with you, just like it is kind of like Wild West sometimes. And I'll be honest, like where, for example, how I learned how to drive here was basically whatever I learned in the United States as driving, I threw it out the window. It did the direct opposite. There's no such thing here in the Philippines where basically you give way to people. No, everyone has their way. They basically say you make way, whoever, in the sense of whoever gets there first. In the Philippines, like in the United States, where like you're making a left turn, there are moments in time you have to wait until you make a left turn until it's clear. Here in the Philippines, you can make you'll make the left turn. Yes, do it safely, but you want to get there first. And naturally, sometimes like you just have to make sure, like it comes to a point sometimes you're about to hit the car, but at least gives the car to say, okay, I need to stop. So it's basically whoever comes there first mentality, where essentially like they'll get the right away. So if, for example, if there's a person who's driving on your opposite lane going the opposite direction to you, but you're making the left, it really comes down to who comes there first. So if I'm trying to make a left and the person's trying to go straight, if I get there first to make my left, they have to stop. Or if they are more aggressive than me to go up straight, then I stop. It's kind of weird here, but I had to make that point because like, it is kind of, the driving style is a little bit different here. But I mean, going back to like about the scooters, where, for example, the scooter thing with no registration is weird. Hopefully we get in a couple weeks, I don't have to worry about that shit. But it's just like, yeah, they gave us the helmets. And like also too, like, yes, I do want to ride it around. I haven't rode it around outside the subdivision, so I've been just riding it around the subdivision. I think my brother took his first stab on it, but it was funny. It was on Sunday where we went to have breakfast with his friends. One of his friends was in front of him, my brother was in the middle, someone was behind him, and I was in SUV. I think it's like, for my brother, as in even the experience level on a scooter, I actually am more comfortable on the scooter than my brother is. My brother has a fear of something. I don't know. He does have a fear that he has a much deeper fear he needs to get over. He wants to be a good rider. For me, it's like, yes, the last experience I had was like years ago, but it's one of the things where it's like kind of second nature to you. It's like, if, for example, if you are an individual who knows how to drive a manual stick shift car, you're not going to forget it. It'll always come back. Yes, there can be some pits and starts where, like, if you get back into it and you haven't rode it for a while, like you have to get back and relearn it. But it's that muscle memory you're never gonna forget. So like for me, riding a scooter around, it wasn't a big deal. So I'm a little more aggressive and more aware. But for my brother, he's very more tentative. And it's, to each his own, right? Like he wants to be safe, so like he doesn't want to be so nervous around it. And this, like, he was mentioning to me where just like he had this fear, like and this is the thing too, like even with cycling, right? Like, because we road bike. We have our road bikes where we brought from the United States are here in the Philippines. And speaking of, in a couple of weeks, we're going to go Cebu because we had to do a bike fit to get those ready. But I mean, basically he was just telling the stories, even with like road cycling, where he's telling us stories of his friends who fell and they fell in the head, and then, going to the pits of fear. We're talking about, he got shaken baby syndrome, where they're never the same. So it's kind of the same thing with the scooter, where it's just like basically, oh, I had these stories, I have these worries that I'm gonna fall and be in the worst shape ever, blah 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 blah, and I have this major fear to ride a scooter around. He always bags on me. He was just like, yo, go slow down, you go too fast, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, yes, I get it. He's my older, and he wants to make sure I'm safe, but just like, it's not that bad. We're only to the fastest, the top speed we're really going is maybe 30 miles per hour. And it's also with everything, when you're driving a car, or you are like here in the Philippines or riding a scooter, you have to be aware of where your surroundings are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know for you all, and this is the same thing I applied in the United States, where it's just like basically I would always look ahead and make sure, one, is everything clear? Am I in the situation I'm safe? Is there potholes coming away that I need to avoid? It's the same shit I do here. I'll be honest, like the best drivers, the best people, the best individuals who are good at that stuff are the ones who always actively pan ahead. Like, your head should be on the swivel and you should be driving, especially here in the Philippines. Like the most craziest, even if you feel like you're the most aggressive driver here in the Philippines, honestly, there's gonna probably be someone even more aggressive than you. So like, even like me thinking I'm aggressive, and then here comes a big truck. Those trucks will usually be the craziest, and the ones who'll say, okay, you need to slow down. Or there's certain things, like there's like small like tourist vans, or like they call them series, coming here from the island of Panglao Island or Tagbilaran, but they're going into the province. Like, those are the ones that go super fast. Like, these are the ones that super fast. They on a time crunch, I think, and that's the reason why they're driving fast. And sometimes they just focus on themselves, meaning that if you are in the way, you need to get out of their way. So those are the things, adjustments, where you have to make sure and be on the swivel. You have certain people like that. Like, I mean, honestly, what's normal nature here in the Philippines is tailgating is normal here. In the United States, if you tailgate someone in the United States, people will probably be super upset at you, and they'll probably come to fighting. It's crazy. Like, the road rage in the United States is wild, but the stuff that would be considered road rage in the United States is normal here in the Philippines. Yes, and it's funny too, because like, I always have these conversations with my dad, and my dad's older. He's 78. He's 78 right now. We had our conversations about like, oh, the people here in the Philippines need to learn how to drive. They need to abide by the rules, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I agree with my dad. No problem, but it has to be enforced. If it's not enforced, then who's going to pay attention to it? It's just like, for example, they have 2-lane roads here. 2-lane roads, one direction. But no one understands the concept of two lanes. So what I mean by that, you have people in the middle of the roads of the 2 lanes blocking the direction. So they don't understand the concept, but no one's enforcing it to make them say you need to be in 2 lanes. I mean, the same thing is like the helmet rule. In the city of Tagbilaran, yes, it's important. I think in Panglao, it's important. It's required. You must have a helmet. And where we are in Panglao Island, it's loosely regulated, if you know what I mean. You see a lot of people, even expats, wearing no helmets and riding their scooter down the road, and it's craziness. If you even get deeper into the province, less and less of the helmets are used. It's one of the things you have to think about and worry when you drive, especially when you're in a car. People on scooters can come in multi directions from you. They can try to pass you up. They can be in your same lane. They can cut out of nowhere and be right in front of you. You got to be attentive. So when it comes down to that, just like, this is the concept I came up with driving. It's just like, yes, for me, I'm aggressive, defensive. I will be aggressive as shit if you're super slow as fuck, but defensive, the same thing, where I'm not trying to harm people's lives, mine or the people in my car. But I'm gonna be aggressive, just like, okay, you're slow as shit. Let me get through so that I can get to where I need to go. But yeah, so going back to my brother, he wants to get more courage in the scooter. So he's been driving around the subdivision. I actually started driving the scooter. Like, there's an access way where, there's a way. I found out about it because like I went walking and I thought about it. I was like, oh, we can do this quick away from the subdivision and get back into it. So basically it's like a long straightaway. When you exit the subdivision, there's a long straightaway you can go down and get you back on the main road, but you're only on the main road for maybe like 1 minute. So like the other day, I was like, oh, I realized that when I did the walking. I was like, okay, well, hey, let's try it out. Since I know, because the same way too, yes, I could ride my scooter in the island, but I don't want to be that fucking individual. I get a ticket for no registration. So I'm gonna try to be as observant as I can and stay until we got registration. But the exception, my brother, and that's the other thing. I'll talk about what happened to my brother. He's fine, but it's just like basically coming out of the subdivision. There's a little path. You go left, and a straight path to get you back on the main road. And I tried that, and then you make a left. Obviously, you have to. This is my brother's concern. It's like, oh, you need to pay attention. People are crazy. Yeah, of course, people are crazy. So you got to worry of that, especially you're in a scooter. And this is why I highly encourage folks, regardless if you're here, like if you're in the Philippines, like, right, wear your helmet. Yes, it's cool not to wear a helmet and everything, but when you get in an accident and you hit your head, you're gonna be in rough shape. So anyway, like going down that street, it's a quick 1 minute, and then it basically leads you back to another entrance of our subdivision and then back to your house. So it's a good thing. That was the first time I actually went to 50 kilometers per hour. On average in this subdivision, I'm going like 30 because, it's a subdivision. I think my brother's like terribly slower, but I mean, for the most part, it was just a good experience just to get it up, just trying to get more acquainted with like how it is on a scooter. Mind you, the last time I drove a scooter was before this. It was back when I was like 19, 18, but it's one of the things I mentioned before, right? It's going to be a second nature thing where it's like, your motor skills. Like, you're not going to forget about it. It's just like how you're going to drive like a stick shift car I mentioned before. You're not going to forget the motor skills of doing it. You might fail at the beginning when you're trying to relearn it again, but like it should be easy. So yeah, like for my brother, for example, right? So this is on Sunday, while he was riding, his friend is up front, he was in the middle, another friend in the back, and I was in the SUV, grab lunch. We get to the lunch place, and this is where, like, for example, the ASEAN summit's happening here, so there's a bigger presence of national police and traffic control that's present on the island because obviously the summit. Basically, like I was telling my brother, and I was watching, and there was like we were at a restaurant for breakfast, and then along the way across the street there was like 3 national police, and they were just staked there. I don't know what they were doing. I was trying to just peer what they're doing, but it looked like they were just there posting just to make sure if there's any craziness that happens, they're the first ones there, I guess you can say. But I think going back to the situation where there's no presence of a registration on our scooter, I'll tell my brother, I was like, hey, direction that you usually go back to your house, you shouldn't want to go that way, you should go the opposite direction. Just by the chance of, I don't know what to expect if you drive with no registration and I don't know what that story is going to be. Even for me, imagine it being worse because my brother, as much as he wants to speak the native tongue, which is Bisaya, he does get nervous and reverts back to English. For me, I'm trying. I force myself to speak Bisaya because like that's how you're going to learn, in my opinion. Just imagine someone saying, trying to explain, I don't have no registration, and saying this in English. The people are probably going to not take your story, or they'll probably be more inclined to, okay, we'll give this guy a ticket, versus like if you speak comfortably in their native tongue, it might be a little bit easier to deal with it. So like at the end of the day, I'll show my brother, hey, you should probably don't want to go that direction. And he wasn't freaked out, but it's one of the things that I don't know. Even when I was paying attention, I was looking at them and seeing what they were doing. They were looking at people, they were looking at stuff, but as in like, for actually doing something, I don't think they were doing anything. Mind you too, like it's one of the things, like, yes, I think in Panglao, you must wear a helmet, or it's a mixture, and more or less. So there's a lot of people, even expats, passing by in front of them where they had no helmets at all. But it's one of the things too, just like, you don't want to be in that position. What if they pull you over? What if you get flagged? I think my brother was a little bit nervous and whatnot, so he was just like saying, okay, I was telling him like, yeah, go this way. And then like, going the opposite direction leads you to the market that we have in Panglao Island, where you can buy our groceries, etc. And there's like a hardware store or whatnot. So he actually ended up going that way. And it's funny too, right? Like he did go that way, but before that, what's really funny, it's not funny, it's sad, but like there was a little accident. And mind you, there's lots of dogs here in the Philippines. Sometimes, and it's not funny, but it's just like, sometimes if you run in a situation where there's a dog in front of you and you're driving, it's gonna be even more dangerous if you stop. While we're having breakfast in the place we're eating at, there was a van that was going super fast, and then here comes a dog, and all you hear is bam. The dog slid 10 feet. I think he grazed the van, but he got hit by the van, but it pushed him like 10 feet. But surprisingly, the dog was okay. But I mean, it's just one of the things too, just like when that happened, the people down the way, the national police, one of them came down to see what was going on and see what happened. And I think one of the hubcaps of the van that fell off when it hit the dog fell off. So he came there, saw that. That's the only thing he did after that. It was just came there, see what was happening, ask people questions, and he picked up the hubcap that fell off the van, and I don't know what he did. He threw it away, and he went back to his post. It's one of the things I had to make sure my brother knew about that. We're just like, okay, while they're not paying attention, while they were paying attention to this, just go the opposite direction. And that's another thing too, just like, the experiences of me being an expat and seeing, like, then time to time, and I'll tell you too, from time to time, they do have checkpoints here, and checkpoints, I think the reason why they have the checkpoints is to validate, one, do you have a license? Do you have a registration? Are you, like, for example, are you in Tacloban and there's a requirement for you to wear a helmet or whatever? They check you to see, do you have all the stuff? Sometimes, like, what I've heard, and mind you, what I heard from my cousins, just like, they're already planned stuff that happens when they know there's a checkpoint. There's people that tell, like, the listen through ear or the notification, the smoke signals, like, hey, you can't go there because there's a checkpoint, and they already have their ways to avoid it. So why am I telling you this? It's just like, people, it's one of the things of behavior here in the Philippines. We're just like, and let's be honest here, there's a lot of people in the Philippines, even in Bohol, there's probably a good percentage of people don't have a driver's license, or they don't have the registration, obviously because of the fact of how much it costs to get it. When it comes to a point when there's a checkpoint, most of these people they're just hanging out, they're just chilling on the side of the road and waiting till it's done. And it's one of the weirdest stuff I've ever seen, because, like, yes, it's active enforcement at checkpoint to make sure that, okay, let's make sure everyone's passing by is, has what they need and they're not driving illegally. But you just have literally people like 10 feet down just waiting. And yeah, sometimes I see those national police, they do walk down from their checkpoint and then they start actively doing stuff. But there's always been situations where I've seen people who are just like, they're just waiting. And then usually these checkpoints last for an hour, and after that, if the hour is up, if either these individuals have figured out, oh, there is a alternate route to get around this, after the hour is up, they just move on and go forward. So, like, it's crazy with these checkpoints. But yeah, they do check. When they go through checkpoints, usually for me, when I go through checkpoints in my SUV, I always wave at them, say in their native tongue. Besides, I was like, oh, good morning, blah blah blah, everything good, and give them the thumbs up. And then sometimes they come tell you to roll down the window, ask, okay, can I see your driver's license? Can I see your registration? Proof from that, and ask questions, where you're coming from, stuff like that. What do I have to? I'm not. So I just tell them, like, hey, this is where I provide them the stuff. Me being a dual citizen here in the Philippines, yes, I do have my driver's license. So, like, I'm not driving legally. But the interesting thing for folks who are coming here, I think if you're coming here and living here, I think if you have a valid driver's license from, for example, the United States, I think it's valid to use that for, I think it's like what? I think it's 3 months. 3 months is where you can still use it. If you're living here and you're trying to be a permanent citizen, you have you don't have your local driver's license, you can have up to 30 days, I think, to use a reference of, like, your previous driver's license. So like mine, California driver's license. So you don't have any issues. If you do get pulled over here, you can show them and tell them, like, oh, I've only been here for X amount of days. But eventually you have to come to a point where you have to go to the LTO, get your driver's license. I think it involves getting your permit license. It's been a while we did it. We have a permit license and an actual driving test. So I remember it took us a while to get it. I think 3 weeks to 6 weeks to get it, I think. Because we had to wait a month to get the driver's training one. And then after that, a month is over, then you have to apply for the actual driver's license test. And then, there's requirements you have to hit for there, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, you get your driver's license. So I think in at least 6 weeks, you have to go through the process of, like, getting your driver's training license and then your driver's license. But however, if you're coming from a country that knows how to drive, like, for example, for me, from the California, where the laws are more strict compared to the Philippines. Now, mind you, if you go to like Cebu, or if you go to Manila, it's much more structured than you have to pay. I mean, there's still the give and take of driving. Like, if I go here first, I get the right of way. But I mean, it's more structured, as in they have traffic lights, people follow it. I think up north in Manila, they have their highways, people actually will follow it. But I think it's just most importantly, like, just going back to the driving here and the experiences of getting a license. Again, there's ways it can be, I'll just leave it as there's easy way, or there's the easier way and the not so easy way to get stuff. Without telling what's involved, at the end of the day, it takes 6 weeks to get, it'll take 6 weeks to get your actual driver's license. So to each his own. You can research what I'm trying to say, what happens here, but basically there's easier way and there's the regular way. Simple enough. Going back to the scooter was good. The scooter's nice. It's making me want to getting ready for me to prepare to get the actual personal one. And I thought about this, right? Because before, when I first got here, I was thinking about getting another car, because right now we have one SUV that supports all of us. It supports my mom, dad, and my brother. We live on an island, and most of our business now, before, when we were living up north in the province, yes, it was essential to have a vehicle, maybe have two, because we can have more freedom to do stuff that we want to do, as in me and my brother. But as we now live in Pangla Island in Tagbilaran, it makes you now think like, oh, I don't really need another car. I could just get a scooter. Yes, we were planning to get another 125cc scooter, and that's for the business. But I think for the most part, for my own personal use one, probably get like a 155. I was looking at another Yamaha. There's two. There is a NMAX, which is a 155 160cc scooter, and there's one that looks like the motorcycle, the YZF R6 or R1. It has the same fairings in the front. It's called an Aerox. So it's between an Aerox and an NMAX. The Aerox is more of the sporty version, and I didn't know there's even a thing, but people race on those scooters. So it's similar, and they're trying to portray in the same market as their motorcycles. They're like the R brands. So the R6, R1s, those are the ones I'm familiar with in the United States, where they had the Yamaha R6 and the YZF R6 and YZF R1. Surprisingly not, I guess they have there's professional scooter competitions where people use the Aerox as a competition vehicle. I was looking at it lately to see like, okay, what do I want to get? And I think I'm leaning towards the more sporty one. And mind you, it's probably going to be a couple months, maybe 6 months from now when I actually get my own personal one. But the NMAX is more of like the touring one. It's more comfortable. Like I'm seeing the picture of, like, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos where like basically the guy he was a heavy set like me. I'm a big guy, but basically he was on the NMAX. He had his feet up and he was just like very relaxed. And then like the Aerox was like, it's more you're sitting on it versus like relaxed. You're in the kind of aggressive seating. It's not so aggressive. It's basically just sitting, put your feet down, and then you're just riding normally. The NMAX, basically you can put your feet up and be in a kind of relaxed position when you're riding. That's the main difference. I think they run off the same motor, more or less. There's probably more features as in comfortability on the NMAX versus the Aerox, but the Aerox just looks better. I think for me, it's just more of just thinking about, like, I was watching a video with a guy on the Aerox. It was a Yamaha Aerox SP. So it's kind of their flagship Aerox model. I think it runs for 160,000 PHP, I think. I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know what that's going to be in USD, but you can ask ChatGPT if you're curious what the 165,000 PHP is. But basically, the only worry I did have about it is like I seen the guy going down the street and it was bumping. He was just like going like this. Oh, I had worried about that, but like I think on the NMAX is probably going to be less of that. But I mean, just going off of looks, what I would want as in looks, I think I would go for the Aerox. So that's one of the things down the road that, okay, I'll eventually get, because like I think it doesn't make any sense to get a second vehicle here in Bohol, unless it comes to that we actually need one. But if we're always just, frequent in Pangla Island and Tagbilaran, I think we're fine. Actually, it's going to come to a point too, like for me and my brother, because like, yeah, riding a scooter in Tagbilaran will be more aggressive, I guess you can say, because of the fact that you're in the city. Here in Pangla Island, it's not too bad. It's less busy, but yet again, it's one of the things, like for example, just like driving in Tagbilaran, it can be a challenge if you're not used to it. If you're not aware of, essentially how the rules are. Like I was telling you, like everyone has the right of way. There's no give way to people. If you give way to people, then everyone else that you're giving way, people will go past and they're not going to give you the room. So kind of treat it the same way with a scooter, but basically know your limits as a scooter, because there's bigger shit around you that potentially don't give a shit. what it comes down to is just like eventually, like, just because like literally we're Panglai Island, and then Tacloban is literally 5 to 10 minutes away from us. Doesn't really make sense to buy another vehicle unless it comes to basically if one of our businesses does need to include another vehicle, then okay, then we'll lead to that route. But if it's just like personal vehicle stuff, like for me, I thought about it. I was just like, I'll just get a scooter. I was looking at a Honda. I think it's a Honda 160 ADV 160. They'll look nice and all, but it's just like something about the looks of the Yamaha Aerox. Even the top line model I was talking like, it was like a matte blue and red. Oh my goodness, it looks nice. So that's where I'm gonna lead to. Probably get a cargo box, because like that's what we're planning to get. And the next scooter will probably do the same thing. So basically, phone holder, and it has an extra case in the back behind you so you can load stuff. Because literally, the only space that you do have on your scooter is enough to fit your helmet. Well, in the one we have, the 125 scooter that we have, there's not a lot of space in there. So we're getting a carrier box behind it. That's coming in soon. And originally I was planning, because like one, I have my phone, all our accessories for our phones is quad lock. So if you're familiar with that brand, we have a phone holder in the car. We have our own cases are all quad lock. Like even the selfie sticks are quad lock, blah, blah, blah. I was originally going to go that plan with the rental scooters, but it didn't make any sense because like not everyone has a quad lock. So we ended up getting a universal one that works fine. That's another purchase we have to do for the second one, and then another box. As I look about, again, why I'm talking about my personal vehicle, we don't drive too far. Like even the furthest that we can go, mind you, we're on a fucking island. I don't know how far you can go, but like the furthest we can go is if we go to the province, to where our province house is, that's only once a week. Like the most part, that's only once a week that we do go. It's not that we're going frequent. Most of the time, even here in where I'm at in Panglai Island, like everything's within distance. If you have to put it in miles, the most miles you probably get in a day is probably less than 2-3 miles, 4 miles the most. So it's you're not going super extensive. The furthest you probably can go is in the matter of 20 minutes. It's coming from Panglai Island to go to Tacloban to go to our mall, Island City Mall, the more bigger popular mall, I guess you can say, and that's only about like 20 minutes with traffic, or without traffic. With traffic, it'll be a little hairy. It can be like 45 minutes depending. Mind you, the traffic is going through Tacloban, through streets. There's no highway. So like even going to the province house, right? Like the reason why it takes so long, it takes 2 hours, because you're literally going through the towns and it's not a straight path. It's literally S curves going like this, literally going through the curves of Bohol, where it takes too long. And I was talking to my dad about this. Like, if they made a freeway to go straight, like north south, one going north south and one going east west, you literally can cut down traffic to be in half, literally. Like for example, if I were to think about like where we are right now and to our province house, and there was a freeway, we'll probably get there instead of like an hour and a half, we can probably get there at least by 20-30 minutes. So yeah, I mean that's a give and take that you have to deal with living in the province of Bohol. Even like Cebu is like that too. I mean they have more structure. They have some ways, thoroughfares and whatnot, but like it's super damn traffic there. I haven't driven in Cebu yet. I think I can drive in Cebu, but there's more rules to pay attention to. Obviously, there is a presence of the actual body that does the traffic. You know, there's traffic control in Bohol, but the actual ones that will actively flag you if you're doing something that's against the rules, that's more in Cebu. So those are things I have to be aware with. I realize is it's probably as similar as driving here in Bohol, but you can get lost or get stuck in traffic. You don't know where you're going. That's why I learned from my cousins over here that Cebu is like that, where if you don't know where you're going, you can get lost. And that's where it will cause you to be in traffic. And there's much more traffic in Cebu. Yeah. So we're talking about traffic, we're talking about cars. But at the end of the day, just like, you know, the method of vehicles that I'm going to use is probably going to be just get it for myself. Just get another scooter. That's the plan. Maybe with 3 to 6 months. There's a lot of other stuff we have to get first. This is like, you know, 2026 is now like where we're actually getting into like, you know, our investments and what we want to do. For example, even like with this, like this is an investment as well. My podcast is an investment, even though it's my purpose. my vision, my belief in what I want, what I feel of this is just like, we're gonna get somewhere with it. So yes, I'm gonna put my effort into it and see where it goes. So this is gonna lead into the next part I wanted to talk to as well, but like just to finish like the experience of like getting and this is valuable too, right? For the folks who want to get like a scooter, and surprisingly not, you don't have to be a citizen to get a scooter. You can just come and pay cash. And if you didn't know, if you're interested in buying a condo here in Bohol, you don't need to be a citizen, a Philippine citizen. That's only for condos. Houses, I think houses and land is a different means to that here in the Philippines. But if you want to buy a condo in the Philippines, you can. And the same thing comes the same realm. You can buy a scooter. I don't know about cars though, because I think unless you're paying no, I don't know. That's something interesting, because if you're paying cash for a car, and yes, we paid for cash for a car. However, you have to register it, and you have to have a tax ID. To have a tax ID here in the Philippines, maybe not for a car, but for a scooter, you can buy all the scooters you want. You can buy all the condos you want. So that's for all my expat friends who are thinking about going to another country, especially the Philippines. Just know that, even though you're not a citizen, you can still buy a condo, and you can still at least buy a scooter. That's part of the things that happened this week. There's a couple of things that we did. I think it was a follow-up to our, of course, I'm in my 40s, and when you get your 40, you get to do your maintenance stuff and our usual trips to the doctor to make sure we do our labs and whatnot. That's the only thing what we did. But basically, it was a chill week for the most part. And it's funny too, because when I was leaning towards going to this podcast, and I was thinking about okay, I think I mentioned before that in the last podcast, I found a Facebook page was for podcasters. And then I got kicked out, or I got suspended or whatever. And then lo and behold, I'm back in there because admin took out the hold that was in. So I'm back in there now. Interesting to see the people who are trying to do stuff. There's a lot of people who are doing podcasts, and then one of the things I always see, and this kind of ties into what I want to talk about next, is just people were saying in that channel, in that group, it's just I'm pumping out these podcasts, or I'm pumping out this, but I don't see anyone watching it. I'm not expecting the audience of the amount of people I was thinking I was going to get out of this. And of course, I'll be honest with you, it can be very daunting on an individual to see if this is something worth doing, right? Even for me, right? As much as I tell you all that I'm on all these platforms, yes, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Podcasts. Spotify, for some odd reason or not, yes, I do have 30 follows on there, or 33 follows, but the viewership isn't that high. I don't know. I haven't figured it out, but what I broke out from this, just is this is how it led me to go to other places, is this enabled me, because of the RSS feed that you can get from Spotify, and enabled me to go into Apple Podcasts, and then kind of led me sort of to here on YouTube. But I think I may have 33 followers. I have 40 plus. I started there. I have 40. I think this will be 46 episodes. The one once I load this tomorrow, what we're doing right now. It's weird. I only get average 3-4 people watch episodes. I have 33 followers. It might be people in the Philippines. That's another thing I'm dealing with. On Apple Podcasts, same amount. Just I had a high volume. I had 50, 60 people watching per episode. When I first put my episodes in, and now it's averaging it's 25 to 30. I would take that any day. I'm almost at it's weird. For example, I have 33 followers in Spotify, and then I maybe have the most total views I have on Spotify is 200-300. If you look at Apple Podcasts, I think I have 30 followers. And mind you, I have to do more stuff in Apple Podcasts because of the fact of I haven't started my own page yet. I already enabled the subscription thing. I have to start the page. How can I start subscriptions over there? But basically, I have 30 people who are following me right there, over there. But I get more volume. Yes, and some people, I'll be honest with you, the people who are listening, it's just bro, that's nothing. But yeah, that's a lot to me for a person who is doing a podcast in the Philippines, and their audience is predominantly Tagalog. And I still see it. When I look at analytics right now, it's mostly people from the Philippines that watch my stuff, whether it's in Apple Podcasts or it's on Spotify. What's crazy for Apple Podcasts is I'm almost at 1,000, and I think last time I checked it was 600 views. So it slowed down a little bit, and it's what I said. the stuff that I do for my podcast, I agree. To each his own. Maybe people don't want to listen to an individual who talks about like self-improvement or motivation. They want something that just makes them laugh. To each his own. My podcast is not going to be the ideal for most people, but it's only for the certain individuals like you who are taking the opportunity to watch this right now, who want to find out, how can I get my life working? Or how do I get to a situation where it's just like, I have to clear this barrier I'm on where I feel stuck. Like seeing your results, even though the results may look terrible. Like even here on YouTube, when I start posting here, mind you, this is my second channel on YouTube. I was trying to do my first channel, but I lost the password to that channel and the email address. So you can check it. It's called Joe Lobster Rolls World is the other tube channel. That's basically has, my cinematics I was doing in previous. And then what I was doing that was kind of like podcasting, it was called a daily authentic, where I would do like a daily from Monday to Saturday. I would do like an episode, ranges from like 2 to 9 minutes of me talking about motivation and talking about things you can do to improve your life. Kind of sort of what we're doing now, where we're actually a podcast and we're talking about how to motivate you. And then going for this, like you can see like the viewer count. First, it would be like 5 views on a video, and then it reached a pinnacle where like, okay, now 500 people are watching it. And then it goes back to, it'll fluctuate. It'll go 500, 5, 10, 15, 500. Now talking about this channel, where just like, Joe Lobo presents, you can see the gradual rise. And you're seeing like, for example, I think one of my shorts, the second short I posted, it went up to like 500 views. And that's great. For actual podcasts, I think the highest I've got is like at least like 30. But here's the thing though, just like talk to my brother's one. My brother has a podcast too, a Tropic podcast. Like it kind of hit me a little bit, but just like the same way, we're on different paths. My brother's almost 100 views on the second episode. I'm already at like, mind you, I think here and just on YouTube itself, I'm probably like at I'm at 6 episodes. I could be wrong. I mean, we're a handful here, more than 5. And mind you, it's probably because of the fact that like my podcasts are pretty long. Let's be honest here. It's for 2 hours. Like the people who are going to listen to this are the ones who are looking for inspiration, or they're playing the behind, or they're driving. Those are the most people, or yes, I do have people who are religious who listen to my stuff every day, and I applaud them and say thank you for that. But I think for the most part, like I know there's gonna be some people, and this is kind of the reason why I do shorts. I know there's some people who are just like, wow, this shit's too fucking long. I get it, it's too long. And like my brother's is like it's under an hour, or it's even less than that. It's probably like 45 minutes to an hour, which is like, I could do that, but it's just like, okay, well, I'm an individual who likes to talk a lot and like wants to be descriptive with, they're probably very descriptive in what they do in their podcast, and they can accomplish it. There's actually 2 of them. So maybe it's easier with 2 people versus me myself, where I'm essentially doing a monologue to you all, where just like they're able to get stuff done in under an hour. I always feel like for some reason for me, it's just like I have to at least do these for 2 hours. And maybe it's because of the fact that like if there's a person I look up to in a sense, as in quality, to each his own, what you believe in, what he does, like Joe Rogan podcast, like his is averaging 2 hours, but he's talking to somebody. He has always someone around him. Thinking about like the length of my podcast, I always thinking about like, yeah, shit, like at least want to make it 2 hours or more than an hour and a half, just to show like the quality I have, or just to show like, what I'm talking about, to make sure, even though like my audience, this is the biggest challenge I have here, is being a Filipino-American citizen, actually dual citizen of the United States and the Philippines, and you're doing a podcast in English, but most of your audience, like on TikTok, for example, speak Tagalog. And this is why, but for example, like whenever I do my podcast over in TikTok, I always have to have subtitles, because of the fact that majority of the people who listen to me are speaking Tagalog. And while they do understand it, the comprehension level of someone talking to you, as in this style of more or less entertainment vlogging, it takes a lot of information to put to understand what the person's saying if it's not your native language. So that's the challenges I have when I do long podcasts. For example, on TikTok, I have to make sure there's subtitles. Like, to each his own. Congratulations to my brother and his friend. They can do a podcast in 45 minutes, but I always feel like I want to play I can do it for 2 hours. I always have this running joke. I was talking to someone who she was talking about, like, I think she was making a comment about like how long my podcasts are. And I was surprised. She was like, I watched one of your episodes from December. I listened to the full 2 hours. And I was just like, and I made a comment and we're just like, yeah, I can talk. As you can see, I can keep on talking. Like, I feel as if someone gave me a challenge to talk for 24 hours, I can probably do it. I always make the joke about like, I can make a cat moo, and yes, believe me, I feel like I can make a cat moo. You know, that's silly to say, but it's just like, I think it's just the confidence in me talking, where it's just like, I can constantly have a monologue and just keep on bringing up like content. And mind you, I always bring up content on the fly. I always say that none of this stuff is planned. The stuff that's only planned really is just like a very general level of a topic that we're going to talk about. There's no structure to any of this. This is basically free flowing and kind of like a conversation. Like maybe you're like right in front of me physically, like in some place, in the living room or whatnot, and we're just talking back and forth. None of this is structured. I'm not reading a script. If there's any kind of structure in this, it's kind of finding a topic instead of me just rambling and whatnot. And sometimes I don't think I ramble so much, but I think for the most part, it's just like if it's rambling, it's probably because we're reiterating certain things I've talked about in the past. Going back to the main thing I was talking about is like, yeah, see my brother's podcast. Like, I was like, wow, he's almost at 100 views. What the fuck happened to my shit? Like, where I already have like on the other platforms and I'll be honest, I'm being transparent. Like, I have with full gratitude from someone who's came from nothing. I am happy that 200 people in the whole world actually listen to me talk. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're listening to the whole 2 hours. And congratulations to you if you're listening to 2 hours, because that means I'm inspiring you on something. And that means I did my part. That means I've lit a fire under your ass to figure out and realize like, yes, you're bigger than yourself. So I did my job in a day. So yeah, my stuff is long. And, you know, I congratulate my success. We're just like, yeah, Spotify, 200 views, 300 views. That's amazing. Apple Podcasts, almost near 1,000. And I think the total subscribers for both platforms is 30 each, 33 in Spotify, and then like Apple Podcasts like 30. And then here it goes to YouTube. Like, I think YouTube is different. Like, and mind you, I've done all the stuff on YouTube where just like, you know, what they tell you, and there's always those videos like, oh, you got to make sure you do this before you go live. I think the biggest takeaway I take is essentially the keywords. So yes, that's one thing I did. Just learning lessons from my previous channel is making sure you set up your keywords. And if you don't know what your keywords are, they should be relative to what you're going to talk about on your channel. So be comfortable using AI, be comfortable using ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or whatever you use to get your information. At this point of life, especially as you are a podcaster, try to make it as easy as possible. If you are especially turning these around once a week, you're going to need all the help you can get. Like, basically, even like I write all the content or like, you know, the stuff that I put in, like it's about like the shorts or the posts. Like, yes, I write them all, but I always use AI to make sure they look and feel appropriate for what channel they're on. So like what I wrote up is a script of what I felt about the post or the short, and then I have ChatGPT to say, hey, can you make this for the YouTube audience, or can you make this for the TikTok audience? Those are smart things to do, because if you're using AI, yes, this stuff will be hard as shit to do. Thinking about like what you can say, and sometimes like, yes, I think my grammar is great and all, but let's be honest here. Like, you can say you have the best grammar, but do you really have the best grammar? You have the best grammar to make sure your SEO is gonna make sense. So that's stuff where, like, again, thinking about like using AI to do stuff. So going back to like my YouTube channel, yeah, I set up my keywords. So if you didn't know, on your YouTube channel in settings, there's something called keywords. I always tell people, make sure you put your keywords. Well, this is how it's gonna help people find you. Like anything that's relative to me, as in the podcast, what we talk about motivation or inspiration, your purpose, your why, whatever have you, the law of attraction that you get from me. It's very important to put your keywords, because of the fact that will assist you in to people to find you, and also assist you in your algorithm. What's important to take away from that was talking to ChatGPT is like, we have to review it every 60 days. So I think we're almost up to the point where we have to review it again. I think in a matter of maybe 2 more weeks, I have to review it again. But every 60 days, you should just revisit to see how you're doing. But like eventually, that will aid you in your path of getting more views. So now this leads you on to, folks, and I've talked to you my experience. I was like, yeah, my gradual build up as in the viewership here on YouTube, what I've been doing in the other platforms, even on TikTok. I'm very grateful where I got the number I'm at. I think I'm at 3559. It's back and forth. People will add me and follow me, and people just stop following me. What can you do? But basically, going from, I think it was end of January of 2025 into where we are now, we started at 30 plus follows, and now we're at 3,500 follows. And just like, how you have to, and it's just like the stuff we've gone through there. It's all basically just having and moving forward and being consistent. Why am I saying all this stuff, right? I know there's individuals who are going through the same path that I am, or you're doing a trade, or you're doing something that's important to your purpose and why. And it may seem like sometimes we're like, fuck, man. It makes you think again, which is like, am I doing the right stuff? Am I doing this correctly? Am I wasting my time? I'm going to tell you straight up that you should never, ever tell yourself, fuck this shit, I'm done. Because you do not know what's going to happen next. Like, even if you're a content creator, or you're a singer or a podcaster, imagine if you're got in this mode or position where just like you are pushing out content every day, but however, you don't see the counts, you don't see the viewership, you don't see the views on your videos. It doesn't look like people are paying attention to any of your shit. Yes, that can be scary as shit. Like, yes, that can be like, okay, well, no one's listening to me. But what if you're at the peak of that barrier where just like the algo, like for example, YouTube is like, okay, he does one more video, we're gonna open the door some more people to him to recommend him to watch his video, and then you just say, fuck it, I don't want to do this shit anymore. Yes, that is the easy way out. I'll be honest with you, that's the easy way out. Like, you can say, fuck it, it's not worth it. And again, it happens in people's lives where just like they go through stuff where just like they have a problem. I'll tell you an example. There was one person I knew where just like they wanted to be a great singer, great star, and then they had these visions of like they're gonna be that superstar on the stage and talking about this and this and that, but it didn't lead that way. But I'll be honest with you, like if I were to ask that individual, it's just like, okay, well, what do you think changed? And it probably was been something where like maybe the momentum within themselves changed, where the belief they had turned to doubt, where they start listening to people where they're just like, oh, you're never gonna make it. Who are you? Do you know that you are this type of person? If we don't, those type of people don't make it. It can be that stuff. It's kind of unfortunate sometimes. We're just like, and this is where like I always talk about, let's just say fucking snakes. Like what I mean by snakes, right, is like the individuals, like where if you have a talent or a gift or whatever, and just like you are an individual where you need kind of that moral support to push you along, and however you have snakes around you that are saying and pulling you down to say don't do shit, or they don't support you, or they don't believe on you. They maybe support you, but they don't believe on you. The probability of you being successful because you don't have many believers in you is probably gonna be low. And those are probably the same individuals like, oh, I'm pushing all this content out, but no one's listening to me, or I feel like I'm lost. I don't have this encouragement to do stuff. And it's unfortunate where you have people where I call, and then I hate to say, teach his own. The people who are fucking listening to this shit is like, man, I hate when you're saying people are snakes. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's, in my opinion, to each his own. You can agree to disagree with me. It doesn't fucking matter. But for me, it's one of the things where I always believe there are gonna be supporters. There's this one individual who has like this awesome gift. However, if the circle of friends that you have are not believers in what you do, they're just supporters. I talked about this in the previous. There's a difference between a supporter and the difference between a believer. A believer actually believes in your product. They will support you. A person who supports you probably as the individual is they support you, but they don't necessarily believe in the shit you're doing. And there's probably some level of like doubt in them where they're going to say, it's too uncomfortable. You should do the stuff I'm doing. And that's the difference. There's a difference between believers and a supporter. So if you're stuck in a situation, this is why I call snakes, where they are just full of supporters who don't understand what you're doing and they don't believe in what you're doing. The probability of you being successful at something is probably non-existent, and that sucks. that terribly sucks. And I hate it when I see shit where like people who have this great talent and they give up on it. I heard this in one artist, but I don't know the lyrics, but he was talking about like this guy was a rap artist. He was going to turn to be big. And he was talking about his lyrics. And I asked him again, I was like, are you still doing this stuff? And he was like, the rap artist who had this dream. He said, nah, I'm not doing this anymore. And it's like, you know, it sucks. We're just like the people who give up on their dreams because like they feel like they're stagnant or feeling like they're stuck. And then why am I telling you this shit? Where it's just like, I feel like this is sometimes a wake and call individuals. We're just like, you know, just, I could tell people get stressed out. And then there's just people always come to me and like talk to me and like in DMs and TikTok, where just like, they always have this situation where they're going through shit and they're going through this and that. And I just tell them, just hang in there. Or like they have this big ass idea or plan or purpose they're working on and they're not seeing the results they're seeing. And I just say, just keep going at it, because like, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. For me, it's going to come to a point where like, yes, I have 16 followers on YouTube. I have no shame at that. Honestly, like that is a milestone for me to get 16 followers, whether they're my friends, they know me in my personal life, or just random people on the internet. That is a milestone and you should be proud of that. So yes, you may not be seeing all the views you're getting, but when you look at the content creators are huge. They all started the same way. Not everyone had like a golden path, and maybe they had to go back. Who fucking knows now? Like it's weird because like I look at the current content creators now, and it's just like I boggle. Maybe it's the generation that I'm in compared to the current generation now. I'm just like, how the fuck are you an entertainer? I don't know. People like the shit, the wild stuff where, I don't know. You have people who are in their 18s, their teens, and their 20s buying like Lamborghinis and just going crazy and wilding out. To each his own. But I mean, I think when it comes down to like, all those people started the same way. They all had this belief or goal, the existence. Even like if you look at past videos, I remember seeing a video, I think it was like YouTube or it was on X, where it was talking about, oh, before these streamers and influencers got big, they started same as you. And there was like Mr. Beast was one of them. I think it was like Mr. Beast had like, they were showing one of his videos from like when he first started. And he was just doing his own thing and just believing, having fun and enjoyment out of it. Like, and look at him now. Now, you know, again, the amount of money he gives away, that's wild. Yeah, some people can say that's unbelievable, but just like, hey, if he has the resources to do it, shoot, he has a following that probably will give him the opportunity to get sponsorships to make the money work. But just like, it's wild. Like even the folks I watch now, like on YouTube, like the one individuals who are, this kinds of shows what I did in the United States. I watch a lot of gambler streamers on YouTube. And it's, you know, it's because of just like, it kind of fills a gap that was, you know, I used to do when I was in the United States. I used to go to casino a lot and just gamble. The Filipino side of me, if you know Filipinos, sometimes Filipinos are known to gamble, like especially the ones in the United States. That's one of the pastimes. My parents, before, they used to go to casino like frequently, and I would join them, right? So like, it's one of the things. So what I do on YouTube, I follow these people, like their main content is just, they're at the casino doing weird stuff. They're doing the wildest, crazy stuff that people could imagine. Like they're betting a shit ton of money, but it gets them the views. But again, it goes back to the individuals. Like, how did they start there? Like, they all start from the beginning. Like, again, like for me, if views were important to me, like getting the max amount of views, getting the millions of views, then I would probably cater my content to fit. But be honest with you, that's not going to be making me authentic. What makes me authentic is talking my truth, talking my speak. Maybe there's not a lot of individuals who need that upliftment or need the inspiration, or they don't go to YouTube to go actively meditate or just be like me. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, like, that's another thing too, is like you see your analytics, you can see the people who are looking at your views. If they're looking at it or they're just swiping away, there's probably a high probability of mine that the people, I don't want to hear motivational stuff right now. that's fine. But for the individuals who drop on and see, wow, this is what I needed today. This is what it's meant to be for. This is what my content's for me. I think that Facebook page was talking about, what's your content about? And it's just like, I always talk about, and then what the main thing I came down to was what I usually always say. It's not about me, but it's for those individuals who feel like they're stuck, or they are stuck in a rut, or they're in this phase where they're trying to figure out their purpose and why. And then I'm just the individual who just helping them get there. And hopefully they become the individual who gets inspired by me to do some amazing shit, then who knows? There might be more individual people that get inspired by them. And that's where my content is put towards. Like, yes, my stuff maybe not the cup of tea to everybody, but hey, I know there's billions of people who watch this platform. And even if it means that there's a certain few that have touched my stuff, shoot, and they get touched by it, I did my job. And again, I do understand that, like, you know, my stuff is not for everybody. Some people, like, we brush it off their shoulders, like, well, law of attraction this, law of attraction that, manifesting this. Oh, another guy who's doing a motivational thing. To each his own. But like, this is where I feel like I get at home. This is where I feel like I get my, you know, my therapy, as my cousin said. Like, you do this for therapy? Fuck yeah, I do this for therapy. Because, like, you know what? By helping others, I'm helping myself at the end of the day. I really am. I mean, if you're doing this, like, for example, like, even like we're singing, like, if you're trying to be a major singer on, whether on this platform, I'm surprised there's actually singers on this platform. Because, like, no, I think about how you deal with the copyright. Because I actually, before this, I saw that, oh, there's a singer singing in Tagalog. I don't know. What was I trying to get towards this? What I was basically trying to get to is just like, you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know. And the only way you're going to find out is you keep on going at it. And some way, somehow, there is going to be this opportunity in your moment of life of whatever you're doing that you'll probably get that break path. You probably get that break where it's just like, holy shit, people are coming in. I'm getting the follows, I'm getting the views, I'm getting the subscriptions. Yeah. I mean, it'll eventually come. Eventually, you'll get there. Don't get me wrong. You're going to get there. You're going to get to those views. And like, even if you gain 5 views on your video, that shouldn't be something to stop you. Yes, there's a lot of weird noise that's like on, like, for example, I was looking at Reddit where people just say, I'll just give up. Your shit's all slop. It's all the same shit. It's AI slop. That's like the new keyword I see recently, where it's just like AI slop. People are making content based on using AI that basically controls everything. And there you go. And the ones who are doing our authentic shit, where they're doing these podcasts and just talking, and whoever is listening, if it means that there's one person who's hanging out here for the majority of this, or 5 minutes of, hey, at least they hope they got what they're looking for. At the end of the day, I'm just gonna say this: you guys just keep on going. No matter if it seems like it's not going anywhere, please believe you're getting somewhere. But I think YouTube eventually gets you to a point where it's just like, okay, person is actually putting content more frequently, we should give more attention to them. I think that'll eventually happen. There's probably gonna be individuals who say, Joe, you're full of shit. You should follow this direction on YouTube and follow this algorithm method and blah, 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 blah. XYZ, ABCD, FG, whatever. But I think when it comes for me, it's just like the mentality, the purpose, the why of who I am would do all of this is just like, you just gotta keep on going. And it's the same thing I tell like individuals where, like, you know, the ones who are just like, oh, I'm having a bad day, I'm going through all this shit, blah, blah, blah. When is this day gonna end? And I'm just like, you know, it's gonna be all good. Just keep on going. And that's the same thing I tell for here. Just like, even if your views don't look that great, it's fine. But what's important to you, like, is this your purpose and why? And you feel like this is important to you, then you should just keep on going at it. What is there to lose? Like for me, like, yes, I remember like even the build up to this, like the build up to this actual podcast, thinking about like, dude, like, is there anything else I can do? Yes, there's absolutely a lot of shit I can do with this. But like the fear of like, oh, what if, because mind you, I'll be honest here, this is one of my investments I'm putting my effort into this because I believe in my craft. I believe in my podcast that like eventually one opportunity will happen where this will get to many more people. I have a firm belief that in one way or how that we will get there, whether it's through here, whether it's through TikTok, whether it's through Apple Podcasts or Spotify, something is going to blow and erupt. But it all comes down to how consistent you are. Because if you're not consistent at all and you're not putting your effort into this, then how do you expect to see the results? Even if it comes to times or moments where it feels like you're not getting anywhere. Also too, it ties into the frequency of my podcast. Like, yeah, I'm only doing it once a week. And sometimes I can get restless because, like, you know, sometimes I'm doing other, like, if you see me on TikTok, I'm doing other stuff. I'm playing video games. It's funny too, because like I mentioned before, I do sing. I haven't done that, so I'll probably do that soon. So if you ever want to watch that, me singing, check out TikTok. How are you ever going to know if you're going to get to that breaking point if you just stop? And this is where it gets more difficult, where if you don't have those believers with you, you don't have those individuals who are here, like regardless of how many people are watching this right now, I can tell right now there's probably one person watching right now, but it's perfectly fine. But watch me, look at the people who watch the views of this after. It's probably gonna go up. This actual live will be available after, after we finish this, but we're gonna make another version, this actual podcast one, where it's more edited. I don't want to put this one out as the edited version because there's a lot of work to put on this one. As you can see, I do a lot of those weird moments that it might derail someone who's listening to me. Is like, I'm about to sneeze and you're like, what the fuck is going on? I pay attention to that now. But for the most part, like, this is raw, uncut. This is conversation. Like, this is a monologue. Again, like, conversational monologue, just talking, me and you in a living room, wherever, whatever have you, right? Again, going back to it, don't ever give up on your dreams. Like, even if it looks bad, it looks terrible. Like, even if it seems like, man, all the stuff and effort I'm putting in this doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, believe it. If you keep on going at it, like, if this is an actual legitimate purpose or why that you firmly believe, again, you turn off the belief, then this shit no longer works. I'll be honest with you. This is the law of attraction. If you don't put any effort or belief into it, you don't see the end goal of it. Like, if you change your mind at it, yes, things will change. Like the individual talking about, that singer, where he was thinking about, like, he wanted to be the superstar and blah blah blah, but it didn't turn out to be like that. And to this point in time, he's no longer a singer. This was like 15 years ago, but he does have an album that you can find on iTunes. He has actually went on Sirius XM. He made to one of the dance channels and has music playing there. He had random DJs play his music in other countries. So his music has gone somewhere, even though it hasn't meant to like the big US market. Well, I mean, in a sense, satellite radio is a big US market, but for the most part, like, I think he was expecting, like, the huge views, but yet again, it goes to the perspective of what you're believing in. If you somehow, some way have, again, supporters, believers, and they're feeding you this information, like, Joe, you should stop thinking about doing this because it's kind of scary and risky. Or like, maybe, Joe, this is not where it's not going well. You're only getting 10 viewers watching you. Maybe you should stop because this is not you. Of course, if you start putting that belief in yourself, like, oh, I suck at this shit, or I'm never going to be good at this, then what do you think the universe is going to tell you? Yeah, you suck at this shit. You should stop doing it. Well, we'll stop doing it. And that's the one key thing for the law of attraction. It's just like, yeah, they're actively listening to everything you are saying and doing and acting and how you're feeling about it. Whether or not you're saying like whatever you're thinking about, whether it's negative or positive, they always say yes. So like, as in the law of attraction for manifestation, yeah. If you're saying like, I'm a piece of shit, then I'm terrible at this podcasting, or I can't do this and get to the next level of singing, then of course law of attraction is like, okay, that's what you say, sure. So this is why, like, it goes back to like, have my head up high, where I always say, like, welcome to the world's famous billions watched. Always in my intro, that's who I am. Even if we get to a billion or not, it's a firm belief that it says right now, we're gonna get to somewhere. And watch. Just like all this stuff. Like, even if I look back to like where I'm at right now and all the stuff I'm at, like, there's not a lot of people who can say like, I'm on this platform, I'm on this platform, I'm on YouTube. And when I say that, this is a lot of individuals who are scared as shit to even put one post or one edit or whatever have you on the platform because they're too scared of shit and where's to stay in the draft. Well, I can say for me, the individual who, have nothing to lose, why not do it? If my style is to inspire individuals, whether it's 5 people or 5 million people, at least if there's individuals who are coming and saying like, yes, man, dude, like, your shit is making me wake up today and get inspired to do stuff, then like I said before, I did my job. My intention is to inspire individuals to break out of that box. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up. Even if it seems bleak, even if it seems like, oh, you're not getting the traction, you're not getting the views. Like, if you are not this, like, this is more on TikTok. And sometimes you can see this, I think, this is on social media platforms as well. If you're not beautiful, Like, if you're not beautiful, as in physically beautiful, like sometimes physical beauty, let's just be honest here. People who are physically beautiful are more likely gather more attention. It's just by design. That's what happens. I see on TikTok. Like, the individuals who come in, like you, who look physically beautiful, whether you're a male or female, they probably might garner more views. And also too, if their content is more relative, like for example, if they just want to hang out and chill and just talk to someone beautiful, then shoot, they're just gonna hang out and chill and act beautiful, and then give you in compensation for just being beautiful. And there's other people and individuals like, no, I actually want to have content. This is like, for example, like, again, shouts out to the folks on TikTok who are doing their thing, whatever your content is. If it's just you just chatting up a storm with your friends and individuals and you get compensated that way, or you just sit there and stare at the screen for 15 hours a day, congratulations, and you're making something out of this shit. That's great. I think for me, it's just like, like I always talk about, like I always want to do something as a purpose. My why, like I talk about my purpose and why here. Two of my purpose and whys, like coming here into the Philippines, is bring my parents home, bring them back to their homeland in the Philippines, in Bohol, so they can have their golden years and enjoy it here. Yes, we go through our shit here in the Philippines, in Bohol, that we deal with. Me and my older brother live with my parents right now, and the daily stuff we have to deal with. Yes, we deal with stuff. We're human. But in the same way as well, my second purpose and why is just like inspiring individuals to think bigger than themselves. Like when I go back to when I did the daily authentic, and how I positioned that in a way where just like motivating you to think bigger yourself, to keep on going, keep consistent. And then to the point where we are now, we're at this podcast, the Authentic Podcast. Joe Lobo presents the Authentic Podcast. We're available here on YouTube. We're available on TikTok. We're available on Spotify. We're available on Apple Podcasts. It's not about me. It's about you. It's about to inspire you to think bigger than yourself in this box. Yes, because I'm in the Philippines, I cater this more to individuals, like towards the identity of the people in the Philippines, because of the fact that there's a lot of individuals I know that they have this huge, wonderful gift, and the life fucking gets in their way, like terribly gets in their way, where it's just like it gets derailed. That's one of the main purposes of these podcasts, is like people like that who you get super derailed because people don't believe in the shit you do. But then, yeah, life happens, but you shouldn't deter yourself from your purpose and why. You know what I mean? You should keep on believing what you think is important for you, not what people think is important for you. That's the fucking difference. So like, if you have individuals who are telling you like those people who support you are saying, like, if you're like me, you're a podcaster, and they look at your numbers like, bro, what's your numbers? Like, you have 5 views today, 5 views for the past 1 month. You're not doing too good. You should stop where you're at. Like, man, those are terrible people to have around you. Like, those are the people who aren't gonna keep you going. And this is where I tell you, like, I hate to say it, but this is where it comes to time for the law of attraction. Give you a decision. It's like, okay, well, it's up to you. Do you want to keep going with these supporters, or you want to find the believers? And then that's where, individuals will get stuck, where they're stuck with these supporters and they don't necessarily believe in their shit. And if they always have no one to have an outlet to believe in their stuff, then they get stuck where they're at. It's just like, bringing it up again. Like, one of my old friends, where he was talking about, oh, you should do your retirement status here and do all this and that, blah, 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 blah. Like, put your stuff in IRAs and 401ks, if you know what I mean. Like, that's fine. Safe. You can retire when you're 65 and you'll be good and set millions of dollars. Like, for me, it's like, fuck no, I don't want to do that, because like, what if you don't make it to that age? And just like, that's where my approach is right now. It's just like, yes, I want to be able to make a sustainable living, but in the same way, do it on my terms. Do it on my terms, where it's just like, I don't have to worry about, like, I have to work this corporate job till like I'm 65, or just like wait for something to happen and you don't meet it. You know what I mean? So for me, in perspective, it's just like, I'm doing it in 2 ways, where it's just like, yes, I'm going to strive out to myself and make it sustainable for myself and watch us grow. And me, not just me, but me and my brother, watch what the fuck we do out here. And for the individuals who are watching it and listening and seeing, watch. But it goes to people who are making themselves uncomfortable to make it happen. Because if you stay too comfortable, then yeah, you're gonna be stuck where you always are. this all ties in the same thing where I'm talking about, just like if you're that individual, the person who's making content and you're feeling like you're not going anywhere, please believe, like, you're probably at that point where it's just like, yeah, there's a lull in your content creation, but who knows, it could be the next day when you just do one video or one post, whatever, and it goes viral for some reason. It just naturally happens with how the universe handles it. I think there was one person I met, I haven't talked to her for a while, but she was like, yeah, I did a post in here on TikTok and it went to 60,000 views, and it was just this. Congratulations. I actually have a post, and it's like, it's kind of irrelevant now, but basically it helps people on TikTok, I think, grow. And it's almost like, I think it's like, last time I checked, it's almost 24,000 views, and it doesn't work anymore because I haven't seen it before, but people still look at it. So, like, you'd be surprised, like, even if it's something that you've done before, right? Who knows? Those probably will get caught on out of nowhere, and just people like start watching them. It can be the same thing as these podcasts I'm doing. Like, people will stumble upon it and it's like, what the fuck is this? And they start listening to this. Wow, this guy has some important shit he's talking about. Shit, spread some important knowledge. And it turns to be a follower. It turns to be a person who watches like on the daily just to get their day going. Maybe they get to a position where like, oh my gosh, like they're having a terrible day, but they go to my content to say, wow, he woke me up today. Help me move forward. And that's where I'm saying, like, where you don't give up on your shit. Just like, for example, my friend on TikTok, my Esau girl, what she is basically is the female ghost hunter in the Philippines. Like, she wants to show everyone that they exist, whether you believe it or not, that the beyond exists. So she does ghost hunting in the places she does. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of her stuff, there's a lot of people saying, and she still has it to the day, like, there's probably a lot of people or individuals like, oh, this is a lot of the hoopla blah that you're doing. It's all fake, or this unbelievable. That's not what I think. There's a lot of people who are uncomfortable with that shit and don't believe it. Congratulations to her. Like, I give her all the glory of what she's doing, even on YouTube, what she's doing. Like, she's almost at 10,000 subscriptions already, and that's amazing in a matter of weeks. And then her TikTok account, like, she has almost 500,000, I think, almost near 500,000. But just like, wow, like, that's an individual who probably just kept on believing on their shit, even though the supporters they had and the believers they had were very different. And there's some supporters were just like, oh my God, you should stop doing this because it's too risky. It's the same thing as, like, for me, it's just like, oh, Joe, you should stop because no one's watching your shit. I just thought about it when my brother was in the United States and everyone was asking what I was doing, and he was saying, oh, he's doing a podcast, blah, blah, blah. And the first thing comes out of their mind is like, is he making money? Yes, you know what? Money will come. I always firmly believe, but that shouldn't be your driving force. If you're going to something where just like, I'm here to make money and I don't have to do it, maybe if you're super beautiful and you're on a platform where it allows super beautiful people to get compensated because they're super beautiful, then shoot, do that. I'm not bashing anybody. It's just, if that works for you, then that works for you. Cool, great. But for me as a podcaster who has content to influence individuals, there's like, that weighs more important to me, whether or not people watch me on TikTok or not. And that's the biggest challenge of being a podcaster on TikTok, because of the fact that most people are not expecting a podcaster. You make it difficult for me. I speak English, so it's just like, I have to, some people probably like, it goes in one ear out the other because they don't understand what the heck I'm saying. But hey, at some point it'll get to a position where it's just like, wow, it just makes sense why you had to do it this way, because it's going to get you to things. Like, even with when I was doing the podcast in TikTok, if I stopped, I wouldn't have been able to figure out how to do subtitles or make the quality of this even better. If I stopped 4 months ago, 5 months ago, we would never been able to experience this. We have a PD400X. This is Maono's top brand mic. We are at HD quality in our lives and here on YouTube. If we gave up back then, we would never experience any of this shit. If we went back a year ago and I was on TikTok just on my phone and I said, man, these 20 minutes of going live is terrible and no one's paying attention to me, and I gave up there, and then yeah, we would never be at this position we're at right now. And this is why I tell folks and individuals, you'll be surprised. Yes, even your numbers look shitty right now, like, or you see the swipe aways like 99 to 1, it's fine. But it will get to a point where it's just like, the more you do it, the more consistent you are, you're going to touch somebody's life. And just like, wow. And those somebodies will turn to a subscription to you. People actually believe in your stuff and they want to listen to what you talk about. Whether it's once a week or every day, maybe, who knows? There's probably an individual who's listening to your shit every day or just appreciates who you are. And those are the things that people forget about. Or just like, they forget about those small things where they only see what's ahead of them immediately. And they're like, fuck, man, am I even progressing this far? And yeah, we'll be honest, for me as a human being, like, I go through some bouts here and there. Like, yeah, hearing that my brother's podcast, 2 episodes in, has 100 views. Yeah, for me, an individual has like 5 here on YouTube. It hit my ego a little bit. But it's just like, is that stopping me from doing all my stuff? No. Heck no, that's not going to stop me. I understand and realize it's just like, there's a market, there's a people, there's a niche, there's people who will be more interested in listening to you because of the fact that you appeal to them. And given that we are humans at the end of the day, like, there's always going to be a need for that one person where just like, they wake up this morning and they're just like, fuck, man, this is such a terrible day. I don't know what's my reasoning of life here. Or why does it feel like I'm meant to do something, but I'm doing this because I'm forced to do this. Everyone's telling me that I should be doing this. And then lo and behold, they run into a video of mine or a short of mine. And they're like, wow, this guy made a lot of sense. What does he do? And then they click on my channel and they say, oh, he podcasts. Wow. Like, that's how, honestly, like how I found a YouTuber. He's on Twitch too, but he's not on YouTube now. I was watching his YouTube videos where he was just doing excerpts from his live. And then it ventured out to be he was on Twitch. So it ventured out me going to from watching his YouTube videos here on YouTube and then going to Twitch and being a member of his chat in Twitch. Same stuff. Like, people will find you in ways. It's probably important that not only you should do a podcast or a long form, you should cut up shorts. I think at this point I'm just probably gonna do, like, at least 2 shorts an episode. I have people I know who on YouTube or TikTok, and they do shorts all day. So they do multiple shorts a day. That's fine. But like for me, like I'm a podcaster, so most of my stuff is catered to be long form. It makes sense to just do maybe a couple or here or there of shorts. So that gives you exposure. It's the same thing as like what YouTube did. They put me into YouTube music and realized, oh, you actually do podcasts. So here, we're going to put your stuff in the podcast section in YouTube music. So it gives you more exposure. I didn't expect any of that shit to happen, but it did. But like, so for the most part, like, be surprised how far you go if you just keep on going at it. Even if the numbers look terrible, even if it seems like it's not going anywhere. Everyone has gone to that position. Even like, the biggest inventors, the followings, the CEOs, the companies you buy stuff from, they all started from the same position that I'm in or you're in. They start from the beginning. What I'm taking away from this is just basically, you just got to keep on going. Like, don't stop your momentum, because that can just kill a lot of shit. Like, just because you're not seeing the results now, imagine if you stop, you're not going to see any of the stuff like that could potentially happen down the road. Like I said a couple minutes ago, if I stopped this content creation stuff 6 months ago or a year ago, we would have never got to the position we are now. We would have never met the people we have met. If you just stopped and gave up. Like, to each his own, the people, the individuals are just like, oh man, like some people's like, you spend so much time here on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, but you don't, you're not making a bigger emphasis on the other side of your life. And it's just like, this each his own. But like, I mean, at the end of the day, just like, it comes down to how much do you believe in your shit? If you believe in yourself so much, then why do you want to give up? And that's what I tell you at the end of this all, just like, keep on going on your task. Keep on going what you believe in. Because one way or another, the universe, law of attraction, will always find you the solution to where you're going. They will build you the bridge. If there's no bridge now, there will be a bridge to get to where you're going. And lo and behold, you get this following. You get actual people who believe in what you're saying. And what also drives the importance of all this is being authentic. being your authentic self, being genuine. If you're gonna be plastic and shit, if you're gonna be an individual who's wearing a fucking mask all day, you're not gonna go too far. Again, I talk about authenticity over accolades, right? If you wear this mask of accolades all day, you will probably go far a little bit, but when it comes to being your authentic self, you're all broken inside. So what do you want to be? Broken inside, or have all these accolades and this and that, but you're still broken inside? You didn't fix this. So anyway, that's what I'm saying. Like, be authentic, be who you say you are. Sometimes people can't deal with individuals who are authentic, and that's fine. To each his own, because they're stuck with those people I talked about earlier. The snakes were pulling them down. Says don't believe in them. Those authentic people. To each his own. What can you do at the end of the day? But what's important is if you believe in what you believe in, keep on going at it. Do not stop. If it's a purpose and why of what you believe in, don't stop. What makes you stop? Just because it's not the numbers you're seeing. Think about the individuals who are super successful. Do you think they probably went through a lot of shit too? Where the people in their ear just saying, stop. Can't do it anymore. Give up. Or they themselves see it as, man, I'm not seeing improvement. Well, as soon as you stop, then the growing stops. So remember that. So if you're trying to be a podcaster, you're trying to influence something, you're trying to be something, be consistent, because of some way, somehow your message will come across to somebody. And you'll be surprised how far you go. Anyway, it's always been an honor and pleasure to talk to you again. It's wild too, because I always feel like, I could be doing these every day, but it's just like, dude, man, the amount of effort to put a podcast every day is a lot. Even going every other day is a lot. Especially with my mode of how I do a podcast where it's completely monologue. It's completely just off the bat, casual speaking and talking to you. It is a challenge to think of what to talk about. I'm rolling up to this right now. I was just what the heck am I talking about this whole week? It was the universe trying to tell me what those examples of people saying, yeah, I gave up on my stuff. What do I do? I'm not seeing the numbers, or just having the thoughts of man, should I just stop this shit? Of course, we're all humans at the end of the day. And this is where those things are to test the ones who are really believers or non-believers. And whatever you do from that, that's completely up to you. If that's what you decide to do, I'm going to keep on going to believing, because one way or another, you'll see where I'm going to do at. When I talk about, again, billions watched or world's famous, I firmly believe in that shit. So that's never going to change. Anyway, thank you again for enjoying this wonderful content. Again, you can always find the rest of my podcast here on YouTube. You can see everything, as in the ones that are copyright free. Now, there's a reason why all my 40 plus aren't here, because it wasn't until I started using copyright free music from upbeat.io that I was even able to post anything here on YouTube. But however, all my other podcasts are also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So please make sure to follow them there. You can search it by looking at the Authentic Podcast. I think I put it also as Joe Lobo Presents the Authentic Podcast as well, so you can see it. You can actually Google search it, and you can see, if you put Joe Lobo Presents the Authentic Podcast, you can see the Spotify links, you can see the Apple Podcast links pop up, and you can watch my growth as a podcaster from end of July, essentially, of 2025 to now, of what we became, coming from narrowness 9x16 from TikTok to where we are right now, where we have a camera moving everywhere we go. You can see the growth in all this. But at the end of the day, I do appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to talk here again. Maybe I'm inspiring you to do something. What I would love out of this is that you like this video, you subscribe to me on TikTok. If you find me on TikTok, Joe Lobo 555, or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Give me a follow, spot, and subscription there. But anyway, it's been an honor and pleasure to talk to you guys again. Till the next time we talk, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, whenever time you are listening to this. My name is Joe Lobo. This is the Authentic Podcast. We'll see you soon. Take care.